Settling yourself on your mat. Being aware of the physical sensations of your breath, the rise and fall of your chest and your belly, the movement of air, the sounds around you, whether you're outside or inside. And just bring yourself here to the present moment, filled with awareness of your body. Sometimes I like to check in and just find one word that describes how I'm feeling on the inside when I check in. And if I remember, I'll compare that to how I feel at the end when I check in. Yoga for me is mindful movement and helping me tune into what's happening within me. I close my eyes. I invite you to keep your eyes closed as long at the beginning of practice as you can, just listening to my instruction and moving your body in the way that it wants. If you haven't already, make those inhales and exhales intentional, letting go with your exhale, breathing in what you need with your inhale. And softening from the crown of your head down to your toes. With our breath as deep and full as our own natural rhythm will allow, we're going to tune in and find an intention, something we either need to hear or something that we can focus on today if our mind begins to wander throughout practice. So we find our own words, our affirmation, whatever it might be, and take 3 focused breaths. At the end of that third exhale, we're going to focus our attention on our neck. So we're going to warm by turning our head just any way that feels right. Let's start with side to side. And then maybe up and down, chin up, chin down. And then from one shoulder down and around, make a semicircle to the other side. Just working the muscles of the neck and warming them up. Let's add in shoulders before we take ear to shoulder. So let's lift shoulders, one, then the other. Trying to loosen up that tight area in our upper back. Maybe take one shoulder forward and one back. And now, let's try a little ear towards shoulder. Letting the whole side of the neck stretch. And then take it to the other side when you're ready. You can go as quickly or as slowly as feels right to you. Let's do it another time or two. Continuing to breathe. Last time. Beautiful. Back to center position. Sit up tall. Nice long spine. We're going to reach our arms out to the side. And with our inhale, begin movement for our arms. Lifting up, exhaling down. Your own natural breath. Breathe it up. Reach it up. Exhale down. You can look up with that motion if you want. Look down. This next one, we're going to add some rotation for our wrists and elbows. Both directions. Bring it down when you're ready. Take it back up again. This time, inhale And then interlace, lift, and stretch. So hold that stretch for a moment, reaching up to the sky. Seeing if you can get just a little bit higher. Maybe add a little lean to each side. See what that feels like. And then bring it back down. All right, back up, and this time it's a twist. Just a gentle one. Release it to one side. Back to center. Release it to the other. Just your own pace. Warming up the spine and maybe going a little deeper in the twist as it feels right to your body. Maybe your neck wants to turn. One more time each way. Now we're going to start to engage that core, warming that core up a little. We're going to go back to center, inhale up, and we're going to reach out in front. Keeping our ears in line with our arms, we're just going to hold here, reaching out, breathing. Back to center when you're ready. Again, lift it up, reach it out. Maybe go a little lower if it feels right. Back to center, last time, one more time, go a little lower. And fold it all the way down. Shaking your neck out gently, start to rock your weight. So now you're going to feel that stretch and pull, low back, hip area. This is where you get to be creative in your movement, either holding steady at center or walking it side to side, doing whatever makes that area feel like it's warming up and gives your attention to it so you know what's happening there. Trying to feel where you need to stretch. Continuing to breathe. And gently work yourself back up to seated. All right, we're going to work those arms a little bit, so reaching out. Palms face the floor. We're going to start with some tight, tiny forward circles. So we're really reaching through the fingertips, making sure the shoulders are not creeping up towards our ears. We're going to start to take those circles just a little bit bigger. So we're painting the circle bigger and bigger. And as we do, we're going to let the arms get a little more free, a little looser, until we reach our biggest circle, and then just take 5 rotations. And shake it out. I'm going to go the opposite direction. So reach those arms back out when you're ready and start to circle backwards. First we start with the tight and tiny ones, reaching through the fingertips. And then we start to make them bigger and looser. Paint it bigger, bigger, bigger until you're at your biggest circle, and then 5. Beautiful. Shake that out. Can always feel my arms warming up when I do that. Let's take an elbow, draw it away from the opposite shoulder. Take the stretch. Continue to think about your neck wherever it's needed. Take your gaze side to side or take your chin up and down. And you can take that arm a little deeper also. Moving into the back of the arm stretch that works for you. And then let's try the other side. And take it just a little bit deeper. And release. All right, we're going to do just a little bit of the seated cat-cow. So we're going to reach our arms out, but point your thumbs up. And we're going to come, we're going to come from here into our cow and cat. So let's start with cat. We're going to reach forward and round through the shoulders. And then we're going to open into cow, drawing back from the shoulder blades. Stick your chest out, stick your belly out a little, and then round when you're ready into cow or to cat. Just going back and forth. So it's really working those shoulders. But you're also starting to warm up your belly by pulling belly button into spine, even when you stick it out for cow. especially when you draw back for cat. 2 more. Nice big breath. Last one. Power in those arms and shoulders. And shake it out. All right, we are going to go up to standing. And we're going to warm up those feet. So spread those toes. Lift up onto the ball of your foot. And rock back onto your heel. Sometimes our ankles need a little movement to warm and loosen. Our knees get a little tight, so just play with about the legs, the lower half of the legs for a moment. And then we're going to move into the moving chairs that warm up our upper legs too. So when you're ready, take it up and sink it back. Weight goes toward the heels. Just a nice, easy movement. You can add that rocking up onto the ball of your foot when you lift up. And then the moving back to your heel, but you don't have to. It's just an added balance challenge and foot warm up. Inhale up and sink it down with your exhale. Nice. Let's go 4 more. And last one. Hold it down. Hold it down in your chair. Really warm those quads. So your weight goes back to the heels. You're going to lift up your spine. And take some nice full breaths. You can do any arms. I'm just going to keep them at heart center. But as I do that, I'm working my shoulder blades back, opening my chest. Maybe I'm sinking a little lower, weight toward the heels, lifting my toes. One more breath here. Let's press all the way up, reach up, interlace over our head, and take a lean each direction. Nice. We're going to go back to chair, but we're going to do airplane arms. So we're going to sink our weight down and back, lift our torso, and reach behind, palms face the floor. Going to do some more circles, really warming up those arms. Now we're starting to do a little toning. So keep your back of your neck long, keep your chair position so the legs are working at the same time as our arms are circling. We're going to take that circle the opposite direction now. And release. Shake it out and come wide. Checking in with those inner legs now. Doing whatever you need to do to loosen and find your best squat position. Maybe a few up and downs. Actually, let's do some up and downs. You don't have to have a number, just do a few. See how that feels for your knees. See how that feels for your ankles. Maybe you want to rock some weight after you do a few of those. Coming into your best squat, we're going to go goddess first. Warming the inner legs, lifting our torso. Let's go arms fully out, but if you want to modify, you can bring those hands into heart center. Holding here. Nice and strong. You have the option to continue holding here or to add a little bit of a more of a stretch by pulsing down from your lowest point, opening up those legs wide. Beautiful. Take it all the way up and reach out like a big X. Holding here, straight legs, getting ready for our sunflowers. Reminder that as we sink into our sunflower and come forward, we're going to extend our head away from our body so that we're working our core. We aren't just sinking down and then bending from the hip blending from the hip joint here. So here we go, sunflowers. Let's take it up, sink and reach out and sweep those arms. If you want to go lower when you get down there, go lower. Two more. And then we're going to add some rotation. So choose a side and start that circle, that weight transfer. Nice. Two more this direction. And we go the other direction now. Two more. Sinking back into your goddess. Knees wide. Elbows out. Little practice for the feet here. We're going to bring our hands into heart center. Lift one heel, then the other. Now, challenge move is to do both at the same time. You can just keep going, rocking it side to side if you don't want to do both at the same time. It's a little more of a strength move. This way. Beautiful. Hands to the knees. Brace yourself. Take that twist to the side. Take your head. Twist a little. Look, really get that stretch through the side of your body. And when you're ready, switch. Again, play with it till you find your best stretch. Maybe getting lower helps. Maybe twisting more. Maybe pushing that knee a little more helps. Last time, each side. And we come back to center. Walk our feet in. Shake it out. All right, we're going to warm those hip flexors standing. So you can use a chair or the wall or a garage door in my case if you need it. So we're going to start with our one-legged balance and we're just going to keep adding on until things are warm. It's actually getting warm in my garage already. So shifting to the right, we're going to lift that left knee up, coming into one-legged balance. Taking any arm position you choose, high or out to the side or down to the floor or even at heart center. It doesn't matter. I'm going to reach for the floor and really open my chest. And we're going to find a nice full breath. You can even add a little challenge by circling your ankle if it needs it. Now we're going to switch position here. I mean, not switch, but just add on by bringing the knee out to the side and back to center. Nice and slow. Nice. 3 more. Beautiful. Let's shake that out, bring it down, and try the other side. So you might want the same hand position as you shift over to the left and raise up the right knee, or you might want to change it up. It's totally up to you. You can add that movement for the ankle. We're going to add the movement of that knee out to the side and back to center. Three more. And shake that out. Move it around a little. We're going to do some circles now with our knees. So if you need to hang on with the right side, we're going to lift that left knee up. Any arm position that works for you. We're going to circle each direction 8 times. Try it. If you don't get to 8, that's okay. Nice. done with 8, go the opposite way. Excellent. All right, switch sides. Hang on with the left side. And circles. And we're going to circle the opposite way. Beautiful. Those hip flexors should be warmed up now. Let's come into mountain, front of the mat. Feet are hips distance apart, toes pointing forward. Finding that strength in our lower legs. We're going to have the inward spiral like we're holding a ball. Feeling ourselves get a little wider at the hips when we do that. Either tucking our tailbone or just standing up tall, pulling belly button into spine. Shoulders up, back and down. We're going to let our palms face away from us. And keep the chest nice and open. So we're tall. We're aware from our head to our toes. Maybe close your eyes and just bring that intention to the forefront while you breathe. Feel your body nice and strong in mountain. On your next inhale, we're going to lift those arms and we're going to work our way down, forward fold. And we're going to hold here for a moment. Remember to bring the floor closer if you need to by using a block or a book. And let the back of those legs straighten out and stretch. Your head is hanging. Sometimes I have to fight my legs to want to be straighter here because they'd rather have a bend in them because of my tight hamstrings. If this is easy for you and you want to deepen it, you can walk your hands side to side. You can walk your hands under your feet, coming into gorilla and pressing down through the toes at the wrist creases and lifting up. That stretches your back as well as the back of your legs. You can add on any time to make it a deeper stretch for you. On your next inhale, let's lift it halfway up and extend our head away. So remember that engagement of our core to hold our head away from our body. Let's turn our gaze side to side, working that neck. Back of the legs are still straight here. And we go back down to our forward fold, stepping left leg back, runner's lunge. So I need to stretch out the front of my left leg a little, so I'm going to rock in my runner's lunge. You can just find your runner's lunge and extend that left leg and really stretch. Heel toward floor. Keeping the hips level, keeping the weight in your legs. You're just balancing on your fingertips here. Enjoying the stretch for the left leg and the big bend in the right leg. And we're going to work our way up. So maybe you need your knee to help you, or maybe you could just press up, lifting, coming into a high lunge. Keeping that back leg straight, lifting your torso. So the position of the front knee is always important to protect that knee. We should be able to see our first and second toe when we look down. Just a reminder that if you're way behind it, you'll see the whole foot. That means that you're not bending deep enough, you're not lined up, so pull your foot back toward you. But if you're blocking out your whole foot, you're putting too much pressure on the knee, so back off a little and figure out where your foot should be to be able to see your first and second toes. Holding here, you can stay here or you can add on, adding a little dip to that left knee. Just going to dip that knee down a little bit. That stretches the front of my left leg, my hip flexor. I don't know if it's stretching or strengthening, but I can certainly feel it working. 2 more. Beautiful. Let's step it back. So if you want to refrain from going into downward facing dog, you can just use your chair or something to stretch out there, but otherwise step it back into a downward facing dog and pedal through your heels. Waking up the backs of the legs with a big stretch. I Like I said, you can also use the chair to get this feeling hanging onto the back of it or the base of it. We're going to come forward and do the other side. So walking it forward or stepping one foot forward, whatever works for you. Coming into your forward fold again. Using that block or the book or something to bring the floor closer if you need to. Halfway lift, extend. Turn your gaze if you choose. Back to the floor, right leg steps back. Now we give the other leg a turn to really stretch, waking up that hip flexor with a few rocks, if you choose. A big stretch, shifting that weight, trying to find the right alignment of your left knee over that ankle. And when you're ready, work your way up to that higher lunge. And check that front position. Keeping the hips level and extending that back leg. Adding on if you choose, we're going to dip that right leg down. One more, and now we find our downward facing dog, whether that's with the chair or putting your hands down and stepping back to it. From wherever you are, we're going to end up stepping our right leg forward into a full crescent lunge. So, do it your way, swinging the leg or bringing the left knee down. Or just stepping backwards, but we're coming all the way up into full crescent lunge, right leg in front. And we breathe. Lifting up, leaning back a little if you can. Getting your best stretch all along that left leg. Beautiful. We're going to switch sides, so go back to that downward facing dog. Take a moment to stretch it out. And then however you get your left leg forward into crescent lunge. Beautiful. We're going to bring our hands down and step forward, front of the mat. Forward fold, shake it out. All right, we're going to do more of a traditional sun salutation beginning here, stepping back into our crescent lunge, stepping back into plank, downward dog, and then stepping forward into our crescent lunge. So coming into mountain. Here we go. Inhale up, work our way down, halfway lift. So we're stepping back into a plank, any level, or even using the chair if you choose. Three more breaths. And we lift up, downward facing dog. This time trying to get your back into the stretch if you weren't before, so it's balanced. Maybe even reminding yourself that feeling by bringing yourself forward into plank, putting a bend in your knees, lifting and stretching up, then lowering the heels. Keep the lift all the way up the back, down through the heels, balanced downward facing dog. 3 more breaths. We're going to take that right leg forward into warrior 2. However you get it there, swing it through, spin the back heel down, warrior 2. Remembering to stay in the center of your stance. not reaching to the future or back into the past. Right in the middle. Good knee position, back leg straight. Maybe even check the heel to arch or heel to ball of the foot or heel to heel, whatever is your position here in Warrior Two that feels balanced. We're going to do a little flowing motion today between our Warrior Two and our reverse warrior. So flip that right palm up, lift into your reverse, and hold 2 breaths. Don't hold your breath, but 2 breaths here. And then bring it back into your Warrior Two for 2. Continuing that process. Flip it up. And 3 more. Nice long bend in this front leg, building some strength, but of course, you can come out of it if you need to, straighten it. Last one. Beautiful. Working your way back to a plank that you can hold. 8 breaths. Downward facing dog. A balanced downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Big stretch. Left leg's going to work its way forward into a Warrior Two. Nice and balanced. Again, check all those things. Front knee, back leg, center of your stance. Shoulders down away from ears. We know we're going to be here for a while as we move in that flowing motion from reverse to Warrior Two. So make sure it feels good to you. You've got your balance. And we begin. Flip the left palm up. Reverse 2 breaths. And bring it back to your Warrior Two. 4 more at your own pace. Here we go. Last one. This time, we're going to take it down to our bellies. So, working your way to plank and then lowering down. Nice strong arms, elbows going toward the back of the mat. Take yourself down to the floor, coming into a cobra now, warming that low back. Some of you complained about low back pain, so make sure you're not going too high or working it too hard, but try to take some of the weight out of your fingertips, draw those elbows in tight, wake up that low back. Press it back, child's pose, knees wide or knees together, doesn't matter. Stretch that low back, let it soften. Lifting back up onto your knees. We're going to work those arms through the lower part of the sun salutation. So what we're going to do, you can do it from the full position as well, but I'm going to demonstrate here for a moment. We're going to lower down. We're going to come up into a cobra, a sphinx, or an up dog, and hold it for 2 breaths, and then press it back to our child's pose for 2 breaths. So we'll come up, and you decide whether from your knees or from full position. We're gonna go, here we go. First one, lower down. Press the elbows back. Lift up, cobra, sphinx, or up dog. Take 2 breaths, really warming that back. Press it back, child's pose. Knees together, knees wide, 2 breaths. Back up and 4 more. 4 more rounds. Strengthen those arms. Wake up that back. Set your position each time. Don't worry about taking longer than somebody else. Just do it your own way. Two more. Last one. We're going to send it back to our child's pose and hold. If you've been keeping your knees together, try taking them wide or vice versa. And then when you're ready, lift yourself up. We're going to come to all fours, a little cow and cat here. So we warmed up the low back. Be careful with it now as we align shoulders over wrists, knees under hips. We're going to lower belly, raise gaze. Cow, and then arch up into cat. Just a few rounds here. Stretching the belly, stretching out the low back. Two more rounds. Rocking toward the back of the mat. Wake up those feet just for a moment, dipping your heels, dipping your knees. And when you're ready, press up into a forward fold, back of the mat. Feet the proper hips distance apart, pressing into that floor or block. Got a loud fan here. Sorry. Let's go halfway up with our inhale. Reach out, extend. Put a bend in those knees and take it all the way up. Reach up, stretch up, interlace, and take a lean in each direction. A deeper lean than before. And release. Shake it out. Grab a drink. Ooh, I needed to start my fan. I got a little hot here. Okay, so I wanted to make sure our low back was nice and warmed up. Just going to do a standing hip stretch, and then we're going to take it down and do some more stretches for those areas. So hanging on with the right hand with a wall or a chair, we're going to do a little tree today. Checking in with our balance again. So taking the left toes out to the side. Remember the knee turning out to the side is key here to open that hip. You can choose floor, shin, or all the way up. Hugging in, finding that center line of your balance, choosing any arms or even moving arms. We're going to take some breaths here. Really finding that center line, not locking our right knee or hip. And nice, full, and easy breaths. up one last time if you're moving, and then we release. Shake that out and switch over to the other side, hanging on with the left side, taking our right toes out. We're gonna find what works for us on this side. Balancing and hugging into that center line, standing up tall, not locking anything on the left side. We begin. Two more. And we release. Shake that out. All right, we didn't do a wide-legged forward bend, and I want to do that stretch. So coming wide on your mat, take your feet out, point the toes forward. We're going to do a chest opener at the same time here. Reach behind. Now you have the option to not do this with your arms. You can just go forward and fold right away if you feel better about that. Otherwise, reach behind and either make fists or interlace those fingers. Stretch the arms out if you can, but really give it a chest opener, a strengthener between the shoulder blades, and when you're ready, take your head down. Hang for a moment and let the backs of those legs have to work here. Try to take the stretch for your arms and chest. And when you're ready, release and bring those hands to the floor, really pressing those feet into the floor and letting the backs of your legs have a stretch. If you need to go wider, we're doing this later in practice than I usually do, so you may need to go wider to get your best back of the leg and inner leg stretch. Take your head down low. You can add on by walking side to side or forward, or bending the knee over the ankle. I'm going to let you decide what works for you. If you've got that weird spot above where your hip connects, it's kind of the low back, this might feel good if you just add a little bit of kind of creative movement to it, twisting and lengthening the side of your body there. So just a couple more breaths here. Moving in your own way, and then we're going to add a twist. So, when you're ready, plant a hand lightly under your chin and open up side to side, stacking those shoulders. Two more times each way. And we're back to center. We're going to bring those knees down gently one at a time and swing it around to seated. This is where I indicated if you had a strap that you wanted to put around your feet or a towel to lengthen so that you can really feel the stretch in the back of the legs. This is where you would put it in place. If you don't need it, we're going to start with our hands behind, pressing those legs down, pointing those toes up, really feeling it through the chest and the backs of the legs. And then we can add on the seated forward bend part where we reach, if we need to, add on, that is, reach for the ankles or the toes or that strap, continuing to press the backs of the legs down for the full stretch. You might feel this pulling on your low back, but we really want it to be in our legs. Maybe lengthening the low back a little bit, but we certainly don't want to add more stress to it. A few more breaths here. And then let's take it wide. If you want to stay here, you can stay here if that was great for you, but otherwise take it wide, do the same thing, get into position. You can't use your strap the same way, but sitting up tall and bringing yourself forward. Really trying to connect sitting bone and all the way down the leg to the heel as you work your way forward and stretch and breathe. Two more breaths. Beautiful. Lift it back up. We're gonna try. We're gonna try a twist. Ooh, that was hard to say. Okay, lift your left leg up. The right leg is long. You're gonna cross, if you can, cross the left leg over the right, and we're gonna twist to the left. But of course, some of you will want to add on to that by maybe tucking this leg underneath or stacking your knees. You can go as far as you need to get your best stretch. I'm just gonna stay like this today and twist left because I can feel that through the side of my body, through my hip. Taking it as far to the left as is comfortable for you and getting a good stretch. Two more breaths. As we come back to the center, come back to the middle here, we're going to come into a seated figure 4 for the hip. So we're going to, the energy of this left knee, whether you're sitting on the floor or doing this from the chair, is going down toward the floor. But you can add on to make this your best stretch. You can lift your baby in the middle here. You can wrap. You can use that bottom leg to take it into a deeper seated pigeon. But find whatever works for your left hip. Two more breaths here. Excellent. All right, unwind, and the left leg is the one that's going to stay long now, pressing to the back of it to the floor. We're going to bring up our right knee, and remember, you can cross that over. You can take that bottom leg and bend it if you choose, but we're going to sit up tall and twist to the right, holding it here, getting our best twist in this direction. You can even use that knee to get a little deeper if you can get your elbow around it. Only you know what feels right. Two more breaths here. Now we come back to center and unwind ourselves to come into the seated pigeon. Energy of the right knee is moving toward the floor. Maybe we want to cradle, maybe we want to come to seated pigeon. Taking it as deeply as we need to, keeping that right foot active, finding the right hip stretch. Beautiful. And now we unwind and we roll onto our backs, bring those knees to our chest, and you've got time for one final stretch, whether you want to do a twist with your arms extended, knees falling one direction and then the other. If that works, you can do windshield wipers to work those hips a little bit, butterfly with your soles of your feet together. Anything you choose. We've got 5 minutes before the end of class. I'm going to start some Shavasana music, but you don't have to move there until you are ready. Find that final stretch and then settle into a resting position and just take a few moments to breathe.